Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unique Talks and Anything Goes. I just wanted to talk about uh, a really disturbing murder that happened, not that long ago, but it happened in Maryland. And it was a Maryland woman who was accused of murdering her mother. And then she got her daughter to help her dismember her body and burn her. Okay. Yes. 44-year-old Candace Craig and 19-year-old Salia Hardy are facing some really criminal charges. Okay. It was her mother and a grandmother. So I will be following up on this, and I have been following up on this since it happened. So I'm gonna just give you guys a little. I want you to just check this out, a little taste of what's going on here, and then we'll get back into the review.
This is the tragic story of Margaret Craig. It was a day like any other when a call was made to the police. A concerned citizen had called to report a possible problem after becoming suspicious of Margaret Craig and her sudden silence and absence. When police got the call, they had no idea what was waiting for them. A sad shadow the family's once vibrant home had become. Even the most trained cops would be uncomfortable after seeing what they discovered. Fortunately, the officers were prepared to deal with the unexpected. A strong smell hit them as soon as they stepped into the basement. It was a strong odor of decompose. The police found the cause of the smell as they made their way into the dimly lighted basement. Margaret Craig, a life suddenly taken, the shock of the discovery was soon overwhelmed by the urgent need to find the individual who was behind the horrific action. The victim's identification had been determined, but the reason for the death was still a mystery that needed to be solved. But as the officers were soon to find out, the crime scene was more than just a tragic end to a life. It was the beginning of a shocking discovery, a sinister plot that would unravel in the days to come. The disturbing finding in the basement was only the beginning of an investigation that would shake the community to its core. As investigators delved deeper into the case, the horrifying truth began to emerge. The primary suspect, a woman named Candace Craig, aged 44, was found to be the victim's own daughter. But the horror didn't stop there. The alleged accomplice in this gruesome act was none other than Candace's own daughter, Salia Hardy, a 19 years old. Charges were swiftly filed against both women. Candace Craig, the alleged mastermind behind this horrific act, was charged with first and second-degree murder. Her daughter, Salia Hardy, was charged as an accessory after the fact, indicating her involvement in the aftermath of the crime. The preliminary investigation found chilling evidence suggesting that Candace Craig had indeed killed her mother, 71-year-old Margaret Craig, on the 23rd of May. What was more disturbing were the later discoveries, which revealed that Salia Hardy had helped her mother try to get rid of the body the very following day. This horrifying act of deceit by family members provides a bleak picture of what happened in that Maryland home. But the investigators' work was far from over. They now faced the daunting task of piecing together the motive behind this horrible act. Questions swirled around the investigation team. What could drive a daughter to allegedly murder her own mother? And what could possibly compel a granddaughter to allegedly assist in the disposal of her grandmother's remains? The details of this crime continued to horrify and shock people concerned as the investigation went on. The reason behind this horrible act remained a mystery despite the allegations and the incriminating evidence. What could possibly lead to such a violent act within a family? The motive for this gruesome act remains under investigation. As we await more information from the authorities, we can only speculate about the circumstances that led to this tragic event. Was it a driven outburst of rage, a long-standing feud, or a cold, calculated act of malice? We must remember that this is not an isolated incident. It is a reflection of familial violence, a larger social problem. The term abuse refers to a wide range of abusive actions that take place in the structure of families, ranging from physical aggression to psychological manipulation. Family violence frequently has many underlying causes.
All right. So, I mean, this is like disturbing. It's like the most disturbing, one of the most disturbing cases that I've heard and the things that I've heard happen. You know, just hearing how, the local things that's going on in our areas. I used to live in Baltimore myself, and I mean, it is a Baltimore is a rough city, okay, in Maryland. But like I said, it's really tragic, man. It's crazy. And then the nerve of her to get her daughter to help her kill and dismember her mother. And then on top of that, they turn around and they burn her in the grill. It was pieces of her body in bags, trash bags, and they were starting bonfires and all kind of mess. Like it's just insane. It's insane. This is just crazy. It's crazy. I've never, ever, ever, ever heard of no craziness like this before, ever. So this is another video. Well, this is the continuance, okay?
Prince George's County in Maryland. Of course, we're following a story there. And I want to put a tweet from our Fox 5 team as the Maryland mother and daughter have been charged in the murder of 71-year-old grandmother. Police say they found human remains in a trash bags in the basement and a chainsaw. They both appeared in a Prince George's County courtroom this afternoon at 1:15 p.m. Eastern. Of course, following this very closely here on Live Now from Fox, as authorities say a mother and her daughter have been charged in connection with murdering the family's grandmother. Police have charged 44-year-old Candace Craig with first and second degree murder. Her 19-year-old daughter is also charged with accessory after the fact. Let's take you out to some remarks here, live, raw, and unfiltered on Live Now from Fox.
Yeah, what can you say as far as what happened at the hearing today? No bond status. I missed part of it. Was it said that all of the victim and the two defendants lived all together?
So the victim and okay, let me. We believe that the victim and the two defendants were all connected to the house in some way. Obviously, they were all related. And today, the two defendants were held without bond in this case.
And do we know how she actually died at this point?
At this point, that is still under investigation. The ME is involved, and hopefully, we'll have a cause of death shortly.
Is that something that can be determined with a body that mutilated, or is that
with the extent of the injuries, with the dismemberment, it is going to be very difficult. I think that the ME's office will do their best to give us a cause and manner of death. But in this case, which is unlike any case I have ever seen or experienced here in the county. Say it's disturbing is an understatement. It's horrifying. The allegations contained in the statement of charges is just heartbreaking. One of the things that I wanted to mention is that this is Elder Abuse Awareness Month. And it's important, I think, to note in this case that someone related to our victim was concerned enough about her whereabouts that they reached out to do a welfare check. And the Prince George's County Police Department is a wonderful resource, as well as all of our municipal departments. They do these welfare checks because of someone caring enough to reach out, because our department was doing its job. We uncovered a horrific crime. And so our job now is to ensure that our victim gets justice, and that is what we're going to do. Jess Garth, who's the chief of our Special Victims and Family Violence Unit. I'm going to ask her to come up and talk a little bit about, some of the facts as we provided in court today for those of you who weren't there. So, Jess.
Good afternoon. As the state's attorney said, somebody did come forward and contacted the police department and asked the police to do a welfare check. At the time that the officer arrived at the home, they were allowed to enter the home by one of the residents. In the basement, they uncovered the putrefying remains of the decedent in this case. They locked down the scene, they went and got a search warrant. And what they uncovered was, as the state's attorney said, one of the most disturbing crimes I think that this county has seen, at least, in recent times. It looks like there was some sort of a disagreement between Ms. Craig and her mother, the decedent. Sounds like at that time she opted to take the life of her mother. And then after that, she and her daughter dismembered the body, I believe using a chainsaw, and then attempted to dispose of the parts of the body using fire on a grill and in a bonfire, according to the investigation so far. This is a case that's still under investigation. We do anticipate that we'll have additional facts that we develop along the way. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Is there any guess as to how long she may have been died before the police were called?
I don't know. There is some indication that the fire department was called out on May 27th to investigate one of the fires that was being used to dispose of the body parts. But further than that, I can't say.
So at least almost like a week, I guess.
Yes.
Then, obviously, we've kind of gotten to recognize you a little bit because you've been involved with some pretty gruesome cases.
Unfortunately, so.
Yeah, some pretty unfortunate stuff. And up there, you kind of talked about how this is one of the worst that you've ever seen. Can
yes.
You add a little more context out here.
Sure. Well, I talk a lot about domestic violence, and often it's in the context of intimate partner violence, but family violence is, just as much a part of domestic violence. And in many ways, we're talking about people who, they are supposed to be protecting one another, caring for one another. When you're talking about your elderly parents as they get older, it's our duty as children to protect our parents. And certainly our duty to not murder them and then to dispose of them in such a gruesome way. When I think about this case, I think about how hard it is to actually dismember a human body. Some people have difficulty, even cooking food, dealing with things like raw chicken. And when you're thinking about a body and then burning it, it just it's very hard for me to think about, especially when you're talking about somebody who gave birth to you, who raised you. So yeah.
Is it safe to say you may never know how exactly she was killed?
As the state's attorney said, our medical examiner's office is going to do everything that they can do. It is possible that some of the evidence was destroyed, that we may need to determine the exact, way that she was taken from us. But I think it's safe to say that this case will be ruled a homicide.
Any update on the knife that was on the floor and then was missing when the police went back?
I don't have any particular details. I do know a search warrant was executed. They collected many, many different tools, and they'll be tested for DNA and for blood as well.
And we heard from Jess in court, but Madam State's Attorney, is this the most gruesome murder that you've seen in your time?
Absolutely. On so many different levels. The fact that this was a mother, I don't believe I've had a case where a mother was killed by a daughter. And I certainly don't believe I've ever seen a case where a mother was not only killed by her daughter, but dismembered by her daughter and her granddaughter. So just the thought of people who are in your lineage, people who are supposed to be carrying on your legacy, being a part of your demise is almost unbelievable. And then not only but the death, but the dismemberment of the body being found in multiple bags, decaying in a home. I'm at a loss.
Were these slightly different subject? Can I just ask one more? Were these like trash bags, gym bags, like?
The information I have is that they were plastic bags, but I don't know the size at this time.
Some sort of trash bag type of thing.
I would imagine.
Okay.
And was this home the grandmother's home?
Yes.
Baby K. Been asked to dig on it a little more.
Yeah, sure.
That he was on probation potentially at the time of the alleged attack on the bus and the thing in the district. not registered in any school anywhere. It's also been determined. Should DJS have been supervising this child? If a child is on probation, should someone have been making sure he was kind of in school and living life?
You know,
because failure with DJS.
knew you were going to ask that question. I think it's fair to say I've had a number of conversations with DJS, and as late as Friday, I've been in contact with the new Secretary of Juvenile Services. I think that DJS is, in many cases, overwhelmed, just like other agencies, especially public safety agencies. But we all have to do better because our young people have to be in school. Those who are on probation actually have to be supervised. And if they are supposed to be participating in programs, then they have to be accountable for participating in those programs. I think that there's a lot of work to be done at DJS. I think and I've spoken to the governor personally about it, and he's committed to looking at resources that we need to add to our Department of Juvenile Services to ensure that the services that they do provide are actually meaningful to the people who they serve. A lot of the services are really controlled at the state level, but those of us on the ground know what our kids need, and if we could get more of those resources locally, I think we can make a better impact and have programs that will better meet the needs of our young people. But we have to hold them accountable. Oftentimes, what I hear is that DJS has done all that they could do for a child. Whether or not that child is successful in completing the program offered by DJS, then they will just discharge them, partially because of the new laws and the limitations on the amount of time that a child can be under the supervision of the Department of Juvenile Services. So I think in many ways, everyone has, I don't want to say failed, but everyone has probably gotten it wrong a little bit. So our state legislature, we're asking them to rethink and relook at some of the laws, especially the laws that speak to punishment or sanctions that a child can experience. Certainly rehabilitation is the goal of the juvenile justice system. And so we don't want to over incarcerate kids, but some of our kids need more supervision, more structure, and some of them need to be confined for a period of time. And they actually have to show improvement. They just can't be discharged because the program timing has run out. You know, that's just not fair to the child. It's not fair to the community either. So there's a lot of work that we need to do. And DJS, I believe the new secretary knows that he has a lot of changes to make. So thanks. Thank you.
You're just listening into this press conference there out of Prince George's County. Certainly a disturbing, a horrifying story that was their quote there of this, as the mother and daughter charged with murder in the death of their grandparents. I want to put up the mugshots one more time here on Live Now from Fox and give you a little bit more detail on what we know from this. Of course, they were held there without bond as the 44-year-old Candace Craig with first degree, and her daughter also, Celia Hardy, charged with accessory after the fact. As authorities say, a mother and daughter have been charged in connection with murdering the family's grandmother inside their home. Officials, they believe Craig murdered the mother, Margaret Craig, on the 23rd of May inside their home in Landover, Maryland. Investigators say the following day, her daughter helped her mother attempt to dispose of the remains. Certainly very disgusting, horrifying details there. Officers were called to the home on the afternoon of June the 2nd for a welfare check on the grandmother and were allowed to search inside. Homicide and evidence units were notified and assumed the investigation after officers smelled the odor of decomposition. So certainly a very disturbing story there out of Maryland, as the mom and daughter there charged in murder of that grandmother.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. Boy, boy, boy. I just don't understand. I don't know what this world is coming to. I just don't know what this world is coming to. I don't understand. She murders her mother, and then she gets her daughter to help her dismember her mother's body with a chainsaw, and then they carry her body pieces, the parts of her are going on a grill. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? This woman gave birth to you. This woman was a grandmother to you, little girl. I mean, for a mother to kill her own mother over an argument, allegedly, for money? Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me. This world, man, this is just terrible. This world is terrible. The people in it are horrible. I don't know. I mean, I've heard some really crazy stories. Okay. But I mean, this one just sits so crazy in my spirit. This is a mother who got murdered by her daughter that she gave birth to. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. They need to be burned at the stake, okay? They need to be put under the jail. But listen, 2024, I'm talking about a lot of upcoming murder trials. Some of these murders may have happened, a couple of years ago, but you know how trial go. It takes years, and some of these trials have come to a head and are being trialed in 2024. I follow up on a lot of these type of issues, a lot of these subjects here. I also want to show you guys this story that I'm following on as well. Okay, and this is another sad story. It's just, it just doesn't get any better. It's terrible.
Some question why a judge didn't raise those bonds or revoke them. Fox 26's Randy Wallace joining us live from downtown with the latest in his ongoing series. Randy.
Yeah, Russia. Now, Omarion Bailey is jailed tonight under a $250,000 bond. If Bailey would have gotten higher bonds for a string of criminal charges, a 16-year-old boy would probably be alive today. Back in 2018, a then 19-year-old Omarion Philip Bailey was wanted for shooting a 7-year-old boy in a drive-by.
The reason for the dismissal was not because of insufficient evidence or they didn't have probable cause. The witnesses were gone.
Bailey added charge after charge after charge to his criminal history in 2023. It began in February when Bailey was charged with DWI.
While on bond for DWI, he gets charged with assault with a bodily injury, criminal mischief, retaliation, and stalking.
I haven't seen anything like this in my 27 years as a lawyer.
Defense attorney Emily DeToto reviewed the charging documents in Bailey's stalking case.
This isn't like an unrequited Romeo and Juliet type of thing. This is a allegedly dangerous human being that's writing these.
According to court documents, Bailey sent 182 text messages to his ex-girlfriend between 3 a.m. and 4:47 a.m. on August 21st, 2023.
You can't even show what he did on the news because it's that descriptive.
The text included, "I'm putting you in the hospital on a stretcher."
These messages were witnessed by the complainant's daughter.
You got prior history of terroristic threat. You've got assaultive behavior, but he only had a $20,000 bond.
Last December, Bailey is charged with possession of a controlled substance after allegedly selling fentanyl to undercover DPS special agents. 263rd District Court Judge Melissa Morris does nothing.
does not increase his bond, doesn't revoke his bond. She leaves him on the same bond.
Last week, Bailey.
Okay, I just have to stop it right here. This is a huge problem in everyone's community. Okay, this is a huge problem in everyone's community. Fentanyl murders. Fentanyl murders have become number one killers in everyone's community. I'm not trying to hear anything. And the death rates are younger and younger and younger and younger. It needs to be stopped. There is no other way around the subject. This shit is killing the children. Okay? They're killing the children. All right? This is a new year, and so many children have been reported dead behind overdose fentanyl. This needs to be stopped.
Bailey was charged with fentanyl murder by delivery in the death of 16-year-old Cooper Colin Cash Root. He died on September 15th of last year, 2 weeks after Bailey got bond for the stalking charge.
I'll argue, from here to eternity, that if you had set a higher bond, perhaps this young man would be alive.
I also would like to add that these these dealers that are being busted, with these drugs and charged with the fentanyl charges, actually are able to get bond and be released. And I just don't understand. How are you charged with fentanyl related deaths and you're being released from jail? Make sense for me, please. I'm confused. I just don't understand. And this is something that is going on a lot everywhere. I mean, and it's not just with drug dealers, it's with predators, it's with rapists, it's with murderers. It's an ongoing thing where they let people have a choice. They give them an option. Okay. This is what they say. Okay, you did this, so you go to jail. Oh, wait. We'll give you an option. You can go to jail and stay there, or you can go to jail and you can be bonded out. I mean, if you can. 9 times out of 10, trust and believe, a murderer, you think they're not going to try and be bonded out? Okay. A rapist, you think they're not trying to be bonded out? No, they're going to rush to get bonded out. They're going to try hard as hell to get up out of that jail cell. Okay. And back on the street to do what they do. All right. I am completely and totally against it.
Bailey has yet to post his $250,000 bond. He's expected back in court later this month. Reporting live from downtown, Randy Wallace, Fox 2016.
Unbelievable. Expected to post bond. Isn't that something? Unbelievable. This is what I'm saying. Yeah, I know Meek Mills. He fought for, all of this shit, But listen, murderers need to stay the fucking jail. All right? Rapists, they need to stay in jail. Predators, they need to stay in jail. They should not have bonds. They should not be allowed bonds. I don't care what the fuck is going on. I don't understand why they are allowed bonds. Why are they allowed warnings? Why are they allowed back out on the streets so they can hurt another family, another daughter, another mother, another son, another brother, another father, grandmother, grandfather? It just goes on and on and on and on. I'm gonna be right back. Okay, I have some other things to talk about. I have a whole lot of stuff to talk about, but I'm gonna go. I'll be back on later on tonight. And please, 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 please leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think about this. Honestly, how do you feel about these killers, rapers, everybody? How do you feel about these people being able to have a second chance out on the streets right after they get done committing a crime? They have that option. Let me know what you feel about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much.